My name is Sarah, and I used to brave the graveyard shift at the Restful Retreat, a small, unassuming inn nestled off the main highway. It boasted only 2 floors and perhaps 30 rooms in total, a far cry from the bustling city hotels. Weeknights were often a quiet affair, with maybe a dozen rooms occupied. My hours were from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., a stretch typically filled with mundane tasks, dusting ledges, organizing files, and occasionally scrolling through articles on my tablet when the silence became too profound. The lobby was modest, a front desk, a cozy seating area with an unused television, and a corner dedicated to vending machines. Behind my desk was a small glass-partitioned office, my sanctuary, where I could monitor the lobby unseen. The inn's front doors automatically locked after dark, requiring guests to buzz for entry, a small comfort that usually brought a sense of security. Nothing ever truly happened after midnight, save for the rare late check-in. But one crisp autumn night, around 11 p.m., a man arrived, and the memory of that encounter still sends a cold shiver down my spine. He buzzed, and I admitted him. He appeared to be in his mid-40s, tall and lean, dressed in faded jeans and a dark baseball cap, a backpack slung over one shoulder. He approached the desk, requesting a room for the night. I quoted him the standard rate, and he produced a credit card. I swiped it, the machine chirped its approval, and I handed him the key card for room 107, located on the first floor. What truly struck me was his gaze. As I handed him the card, his eyes, devoid of any discernible emotion, fixated on mine for what felt like an eternity, a silent, unwavering stare that lasted perhaps 4 or 5 seconds. Then, without a word, he turned and ambled towards the elevator. There was no immediate sense of threat, yet his stillness was enough to etch him into my memory. I retreated to my office, trying to shake off the odd feeling. Around midnight, I glanced up, and there he was again, in the lobby. He hadn't approached the desk. Instead, he walked past and settled onto one of the lounge couches, facing the unlit television. I assumed he was perhaps an insomniac, a not uncommon occurrence with guests. But as half an hour bled into an hour, I noticed he remained utterly still. No phone, no book, not even a doze. Just a vacant stare at the blank screen. At one point, I needed to retrieve a bottle of water from the vending machine. As I crossed the lobby, I felt his head slowly turn, tracking my every movement. I didn't meet his gaze, but the weight of his eyes followed me until I was safely behind the desk once more. A profound sense of unease settled in my stomach. Around 1 a.m., boredom led me to check the reservation system. I pulled up the list of occupied rooms, and my heart gave a jolt. Room 107 was listed as vacant. What the? I muttered, double-checking, convinced I'd made a mistake. I'd just checked this man in barely 2 hours ago. I reviewed the check-in logs, but his name wasn't there. No record, no charge. I went to the transaction screen, hoping to confirm his payment, but it showed no activity for his card. Confusion warred with a growing sense of dread. I distinctly remembered the swipe, the beep. It had gone through, I was sure of it. But the system held no trace. I picked up the phone and dialed room 107. It rang a dozen times, unanswered. Then I checked the key card entry log, which records every time a room is accessed. Nothing. No entry for room 107 that night. That's when the horrifying realization hit me: he had never even gone to the room. I looked over at the lounge. There he sat, still staring at the dormant television. A cold, heavy feeling bloomed in my chest. I sat there, paralyzed, debating my next move. A part of me clung to the idea of a system glitch, but the complete lack of a check-in record and room entry made it chillingly clear. He wasn't a guest. He was just there. After another 15 minutes of watching him, I forced myself to walk over. "Is everything all right?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He turned his head, his face still expressionless. "Just can't sleep," he mumbled, then returned his gaze to the TV. I nodded, my hands shaking as I retreated to my desk. Around 2 a.m., I noticed the lounge was empty. My stomach dropped. I scanned the lobby, and then I saw him. He was standing at the end of the hallway leading to the restrooms, half shrouded in shadow, perfectly still. I kept glancing up, feigning work on the computer. He remained there for several minutes before slowly, deliberately, walking back to the lounge and sitting down as if nothing had happened. I called my manager, Linda, her voice groggy with sleep. I explained the situation, and she, sounding weary, told me to keep an eye on him and call the police if he became threatening. I hung up, a bitter thought forming. It already felt threatening. After the call, I reviewed the security cameras. I saw him on the first-floor hallway feed. He'd walked to the very end, paused for minutes, then returned. Later, he ventured into the stairwell, staying for nearly 10 minutes. I had no idea what he was doing in there. Every time I looked up, he had shifted, near the vending machines, by the elevators, once just a dark silhouette in a dimly lit corner of the lobby. Always staring. By 3:30 a.m., I couldn't bear it anymore. I dialed the non-emergency police line, explaining I had an unregistered man in the building. They assured me someone would be dispatched. While I waited, he moved again, this time closer to the desk, perhaps 15 feet away. He just stood there, watching me. His eyes rarely blinked. He didn't speak. Just that unnerving stare. I pretended to type, but my heart hammered against my ribs, making it hard to breathe. Around 3:50 a.m., the buzzer sounded. Hope surged, the police. But it was just another guest returning late. I let him in quickly. The man in the lounge turned, his eyes following the guest as he crossed the lobby. This terrified me even more. It felt like he was studying them. A few minutes later, he vanished again. I checked the cameras and saw him standing directly outside one of the guest room doors on the first floor. Just standing there. That's when I called 911. My voice was tight with fear as I told them he was outside a guest's room, and I had no idea what his intentions were. Officers, they said, were already en route. I kept my gaze glued to the camera feed. He stood at that door for roughly 3 minutes, then slowly walked back towards the lobby. This time, he came directly to the desk, leaning over the counter. "Any food?" he rasped, his voice unnervingly low. I pointed to the vending machines. He offered a small, unsettling smile, then turned and walked away. I sat there, staring at the clock, silently pleading for the police to arrive. Finally, around 4:10 a.m., 2 patrol cars pulled into the lot. I let them in, my finger trembling as I pointed to the man, now back in the lounge. The officers approached him, engaging him in a quiet conversation. They asked for his ID, questions I couldn't hear. Then they escorted him out. One of the officers returned, explaining the man was not a guest. The credit card he'd presented was stolen, and he carried no luggage, had no reservation. He'd simply been pretending to gain access. He was charged with trespassing and credit card fraud. After they left, I remained, shaking, until my shift ended. Every flicker on the security monitor made me flinch, expecting to see him again. The most disturbing part was the realization that he had been inside for hours, wandering, standing outside rooms, watching me from various vantage points, all without ever being a legitimate guest. His plan remains a chilling mystery, but I know, with absolute certainty, it was not good. That was, without a doubt, the most terrifying night of my life.